Hello everyone, Jason Warren for DT Met, and we have a couple winter storms we're going to talk about today. The first is moving through this weekend. It will move from the Central Plains to the eastern U.S. And the second one is going to impact portions of the central and eastern U.S. as we head into the middle of next week. We do have ongoing snow this morning in Kansas with our first system, as low pressure is moving out of southeastern Colorado and into southwestern Kansas. Moisture is spreading northward from Oklahoma and then wrapping back into the colder air, and that's producing bands of locally moderate to heavy snow over portions of central Kansas and back into western Kansas. Models show that as we head through the day and into this evening that the system will begin to weaken a little bit, actually become sheared out as it spreads to the east, but at least some light snow will spread through eastern Kansas and up into northern Missouri and possibly even into northern Illinois by later in the day. With the weakening system moving through, snowfall amounts are expected to be highest over portions of western Kansas and eastern Colorado, with lesser amounts as the system moves eastward. The system is expected to remain rather weak as it progresses eastward through the Ohio Valley and lower Great Lakes, but it will gain some moisture and a little bit of strength as it moves toward the Mid-Atlantic area during the day on Sunday. And this will spread some snow through the Midwest and into the lower Great Lakes and up into the eastern Great Lakes as we head through the day on Sunday. And there could even be a band of moderate to heavy snow develop across portions of the upper Ohio Valley and eastern Great Lakes during Sunday afternoon. Even with the higher snowfall rates possible, the system will be moving quickly, so higher snowfall amounts are not really anticipated across this region. Generally, we're looking at a 1 to 3 or 2 to 4 inch snowfall across parts of Ohio and up into western portions of New York. As the system approaches the east coast, we'll see it start to intensify, with an area of heavy rain spreading up the eastern seaboard, especially along the I-95 corridor, with heavier snow beginning to break out for interior sections, especially from the higher elevations of northern Pennsylvania up through portions of New York and into the higher elevations of New England. The storm will continue to spread northeastward through Sunday night and into Monday, with snow continuing for portions of interior New England up into portions of central and eastern Maine. Snowfall amounts for this first system, again, will be highest out here across portions of the Front Range of the Rockies and here in eastern Colorado, extending into portions of western Kansas, where some areas could see 6 to 8 inches of snow. But the snow will quickly diminish as its system moves eastward and begins to weaken, with only light amounts expected across portions of northern Missouri into northern Illinois. As the system picks up additional moisture and strength as it nears the eastern seaboard, we'll see snow amounts pick up with a couple inches, possibly up to 2 or 3 or even 4 inches across portions of the Ohio Valley into the eastern Great Lakes. But the heaviest amounts are expected across portions of eastern New York, extending up into interior portions of New England, especially across the higher terrain, where some areas could see 6 to 8 inches of snow, with as much as 12 inches possible across portions of east central Maine. For our second system, we'll start by taking a look at the upper level wind pattern across the country. Here's our first system across Kansas this morning, and it's going to quickly shoot off to the east-northeast. Energy for the second system is already sitting up here off the Pacific Northwest coast, and it's going to dive southeastward across the western U.S. and the Four Corners area, and eventually move through northern Mexico before making the turn and heading out into Texas by Tuesday. Once it reaches this area, a surface area of low pressure will develop probably across central or eastern Texas and rapidly deepen. Models are in good agreement up to this point, but it's beyond this point where there is some divergence amongst the models and some differences that have some implications on where the heaviest snow will fall and how much will fall. Some of the models take the storm more toward the Great Lakes, and some of the models take the storm more toward the central or northern Appalachians. And this difference in the storm tracks will have a big implication on exactly where the heaviest snow will fall. As it stands right now, with the model information that we've been seeing, it looks like this is the area that would most likely see the heaviest snowfall. It would be weighted more toward the western portion of this area if there was a more westward storm track, and it'd be weighted more toward the eastern portion of this area, or the southeastern portion, if there was more of an eastward track. Southeast of this area, across portions of the Ohio Valley stretching up into portions of the mid-Atlantic area, there could be some significant icing. There could also be icing back into portions of the central and southern plains as well. There will also be some cold air on the front end of the system, which will allow for some snow and ice across portions of interior New England and down into the mid-Atlantic area. But this will be primarily west of the I-95 corridor, and amounts will be determined on how quickly the precipitation can change over to either a wintry mix or to all rain. And again, these are things that would be determined by the track of the storm. A more eastward track would support a longer duration of frozen precipitation, while a more westward track would support more liquid precipitation. There will also be a severe weather threat with this system. As the low pressure system moves up through the mid-Mississippi Valley and into the Ohio Valley, a lot of deep moisture from the southwest is going to move northeastward into portions of the central Gulf Coast region, and this could lead to an area of severe storms across portions of the central Gulf Coast region up into portions of the Tennessee Valley, and this would be primarily Tuesday and Wednesday. So in summary, a winter storm is forecast to bring generally light amounts of snow from the central plains into the Great Lakes and Ohio Valley through this weekend, and then some heavier amounts of snow are possible into portions of interior New England as we head into the day on Monday. But a more significant, a stronger and larger winter storm is expected to impact portions of the central and eastern U.S. As we head into the middle of next week. Significant snow and ice will be possible, and severe weather will be possible near the Gulf Coast. The exact track of that system remains uncertain, and that'll have big implications on where the heaviest snow falls and how much any location will see. So stay tuned. We'll continue to provide updates throughout the weekend as new model information becomes available.